Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. Sitting here with great legendary photographer Paul Mobley. So for this book, you just got Flavor Flav in Detroit and Mike Tyson. And you said the best story is Dave Grohl?
Well, you know, everyone talks about what a great guy Dave Grohl is.
Right.
And
met him a couple times at the Stern Show. In that situation, he was very nice, but, you know, you never know.
Well, listen, I don't have a bad story of anybody that I photographed. There have been a few who have wanted to get it done quicker than others.
Right.
I've been a big Dave fan for a long time.
Again, a Nirvana drummer, created Foo Fighters, lead singer, unbelievable guy.
Sound City movie, I mean, just a genius guy. And so we, you know, I set up a studio behind, you know, backstage at one of the concerts.
Right.
And figured I would get 5 or 10 minutes.
That's a good idea, because it's got all the energy coming off stage, and
Well, we did this, the thing about the story that was great is we did it before the show started.
Right.
And Dave came right out and said, "Hi, I'm Dave," shook my hand. And
cool.
We started taking all these pictures, and you know, he said, "Is there anything else you need?" And I had pretty much done everything that I wanted to do, but he was still willing to give more of his time. Mm-hmm. And so we're finished, and he says, How would you like to try some homemade moonshine?" And I said,
when a rock star says that,
Yeah. And I'm like, "Well,"
what does that mean?
I said, "Yeah, fine." So all of a sudden he comes out of his dressing room with a clear bottle, Artie, that I had no idea where it came from. He says, "Look, I've got a good friend in Tennessee. This is the best you'll ever taste." And the funny part of the story is we finished about half of that bottle, me, my assistant, and Dave, and Taylor got in on it too.
The assistant I met.
Right.
Yeah. And was your daughter there?
She was not.
Okay, good.
But we finished about half the bottle, and I could barely see straight.
Yeah.
He goes on and just kills it in front of 25,000 people.
He did this before he went on.
And that's when I said, this guy is the real deal. I mean, we all know that. But he went out, and I was sitting in the side of the stage looking and could barely see, and he went out and tore it up.
Wow.
And just, you know, it's those little things that happen.
Well, he's a pro. He knows what he's doing. What about Flavor Flav? What was that like? And Tyson?
You know, Tyson was great. I did that in Las Vegas. I actually did it at his house because my idea was I wanted to do something with the birds. You know how he's into the birds.
I know, the pigeons,
And immediately with the pigeons. So I got over to his house, and there's kids running around, and his wife, who's really, really sweet, answers the door, says, "Mike's outside." And I walked right out, and he's sitting there, and I said, "Mike, how do you feel about doing something with the pigeons?" And, you know, he immediately went from not being very interested to, "Oh, that's great."
Right.
So we went into the cage.
So is that normal domestic situation? You knock on the door, his wife answers, "Oh, Mike's outside," and you just have a normal conversation with him.
You know, it's not normally like that, but that's why I love this project, because there's a story with every picture.
Right.
But he went into the cage and said, you know, "Which one do you want?" And they all look the same. I just said, "I'll take that one."
Yeah.
And he takes this
Which
bird.
one? Oh, you want Eddie? All right.
So he brings the bird, and the bird's kind of flapping a little bit. And I immediately thought, if I could get that bird as close to Mike as possible, and, you know, Mike's got that strong profile with the tattoo. So the bird's flapping, and Mike's got the bird out here, and I said, "Mike, could you bring the bird a little closer?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Could you bring it a little closer, Mike?" And he's looking at me now. And I said, "Mike, could you bring it really close?" And the bird finally settled down, and I said, "Mike, could you touch your nose to the bird?" And at that moment...
And at some point, you're afraid he's going to eat the bird.
Well, at that point...
Bite the bird's ear off.
Exactly.
At that moment, and it was only for a second, you know, the beak and the nose touched, and it was really a beautiful image to see to see Mike and that strong face and that beautiful bird.
Impressive. And he's a real photogenic guy. Now, you said how you got into this world as a kid. Were you bullied as a kid, and you started? What is that story about? You said it's kind of
you know. I was in high school and didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, and I wasn't a jock. I didn't play much sports, and I wasn't a super smart guy, so I didn't hang around with that crowd.
Just in the Detroit area.
Yeah, grew up in Detroit.
Right.
You know, was not big in the girl department, and just really tried to find a way to fit in.
Right.
And used to go to a lot of concerts. That was kind of my outlet, was listening to rock music and going to
Mine
concerts.
too, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was my outlet, going to Cobo Hall and listening to music.
Comedy and rock and roll, yep.
So I went to a lot of these concerts and thought, you know, maybe taking pictures at some of these shows, I would get good seats. Next thing you know, I got a camera, became the photographer of the school newspaper. And
that's the way to do it.
Now I'm kind of popular because I'm photographing the jocks and I'm photographing all the cheerleaders, and it's all starting to work out.
And you're where it's all happening.
Yeah, and so that was really my way of kind of fitting in. Yeah, and then I, you know, went to college, left college, got on a bus and came here. And
How do you hook up with Annie Leibovitz?
you call as many times as you can.
Really?
Oh, I probably, there were some photographers that I chased. Irving Penn, who is really the guy that I always.
I've heard of him, sure, yeah.
He just recently passed, but in a lot of photographers' eyes, he was the greatest photographer that ever lived.
Wow.
And I went after him. I called every week.
Right.
But Annie had a busy studio. She had a lot going on. It was a little more of a chaotic situation, so they were always needing assistance. And I called and called and called, and finally I made friends with an assistant who was there, and I got a chance.
Annie Lieb was someone, obviously very talented, but all about timing in life. She hit just as Rolling Stone became a big deal, and she becomes iconic herself because of taking these rock pictures of these, iconic music people, and that led into Nicholson, actors,
Right.
comics, every type of show business. And,
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that in itself on your resume gives you a good situation to get work yourself, and now you're branched out and you're doing your thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, everybody to be successful in what I'm doing, you have to have a point of view.
Yes.
Just like a comedian, you have to have a style. And, we talked about some of these photographs. At the end of the day, I really hope that these pictures, even if just a few of them, become iconic. Whereas if we could look at your Yankee picture in 15 years and say, that's a great image. I remember that picture. That's, to me, then I know we've done good.
I gotta tell you, I've worked with a lot of photographers for different things, but it was amazing, and I hope to hell you do the cover for my book, because it would mean a lot to me.
Oh, I'd love to
friendly
do
with
it.
you. And I'll tell you what, you talk about iconic pictures. You should check out some of this guy's pictures. John, he played in the NFL.
Yeah.
And, like some of the bloody shots, you could tell he's a guy who was so into his job, man.
Right.
Passion, like all the I'm serious. The passion comes through with him on the sidelines.
Right.
Bloody, after a win or a loss. You should Google him. You'd be inspired. You might want to check him out.
I would.
Oh, there it is. See, check him out. That's him on the sideline.
Oh, nice.
Definite.
Wow, that's
definite
great.
point of view.
Absolutely.
But Paul Mobley. So, do you have any idea when this is going to come out? The book?
We were hoping by the end of this year, but as I said to you during the break, we're on such a roll right now that we're just going to keep going until we
get as much as you can, because maybe use it for the next project. You just might. I would assume someone like you wants to have as much done as you can. Why?
Yeah, and
have it in the hopper.
A lot of the subjects I'm photographing love the work.
Right.
So if they love the work and I'm getting great, I mean, it's not only the taking the pictures, Artie. It's the it's the life experience. Just
again,
some of the stories we talked about. It's a great.
I'm happy to know you. It's good that I made friends. Yeah.